Hello and welcome back to My Mom's Basement, ladies and gentlemen. It is Robbie Fox here with Lyra Valkyria, former NXT Women's Champ, former Women's Tag Team Champ, and current, of course, Women's Intercontinental Champ. Welcome to the show. How are you?
Hi, Robbie. I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great, and we are just a few weeks removed from WrestleMania and about a week away from the biggest match of your career at Backlash. I'd love to start at WrestleMania to kind of contextualize how we got here. And before we get into things going south with Becky, I want to know, how did your first WrestleMania experience go? Was it everything you ever dreamed of it being?
Yes. Um, I got to walk in as champion and walk out as a new champion. That's the biggest dream you could ever imagine at WrestleMania. Last year, this title wasn't even in existence. I got to become the first. I got to walk that ramp as the champ and walk out with an extra one on my shoulder. I had my family there. Um, you know, Knowing that my returning the biggest star from my country um, was coming down the ramp as well. To be there for that reaction, that was very cool. Um, and yeah, like it was everything I've ever dreamed of.
What were the emotions like in Gorilla when you're standing there waiting for your music to hit? I saw a picture of you and Becky there. Was she giving you any last minute advice as a WrestleMania main eventer herself?
Uh, there hasn't been that much advice, to be honest. I think I got more advice when I was down in NXT, but since I came up on the same brand and platform, the advice has definitely has stopped coming. Well, it's fair enough. We're on the same platform now, so I guess I was competition from the second I got here, and she didn't get to where she was from helping others. Um, but anyway, yeah, no, WrestleMania was absolutely incredible. I always think about when I make my entrance, coming up with my back to the crowd, and then there's always that second when I turn around for the first time and I see the whole audience. But my one thought when I was in Gorilla before going out there was I never got on that stage. Like, why didn't I do that? Why didn't I get up on the stage before the doors opened? I don't know what it like if there's any bumps, if there's any, like, I didn't get up with the wings that I don't normally have. I left so much room for error there. I was like, I should have stood up there. Why didn't I do that? and so then when I did the entrance and I came up with my back to the crowd, I was worried about tripping, so I turned around, and the second where I usually see the crowd, I was just all smoke from the entrance. I couldn't see anything. So then I looked down at my feet as I started walking to make sure I didn't trip. And then I looked up. And when I looked up, the smoke had just completely cleared in a millisecond. And I saw everything. Like, and that was a proper, like, oh my God. So when I was looking out and really seeing the entire stadium for the first time, I feel like you could see it on camera when I go, oh. It was, that's my most like core memory from Mania will always be that turnaround and the smoke clearing and then, oh. And it really did hit me. I really did like soak everything in of what I was about to do and where I was. Because sometimes it's hard to live in the moment, but that was one where I was like very present. So I'm very glad about that.
And you mentioned the wings. What went into the gear that you wore for WrestleMania? Obviously, such a massive thing, the biggest show of the year. Everyone brings out the best gear that they've got. What was the inspiration behind this year's for you?
I really do try save the wings for the biggest shows. My Queen of the Ring final in Saudi, that was Stand and Deliver against Roxanne. That was my biggest show before that. And then I think I brought them back for the Intercontinental final. And now for WrestleMania, they only come out at the best time. But I also usually stick to like the dark colors. But when I got the white gear, I was like, well, white and gold. White is WrestleMania, the big show gear. Um, I knew when I got that gear and those wings, I was like, that's if I do WrestleMania. I've actually had that gear on standby for a long time. I held off.
That's awesome. Do you have a favorite set of WrestleMania gear from WrestleMania history?
Hmm, not really. I can think of people whose gear that I like at certain times, but I don't think I have like, oh yeah, this gear at this time really stood out to me. My
I always
brain's
grew up
familiar
just a
with that one.
massive like Rey Mysterio fan, and he would always
Mhm.
make his WrestleMania gear themed to superheroes. And I'm also a big nerd, so I always appreciated that, like an extra dynamic, but he would have the evolution of it through the years. So I always thought that was cool.
Yeah, that is cool. I need to think kind of long term with my themes now, what I want to
Yeah.
do.
And then you had an immediate rematch on the Raw after WrestleMania that was as good as, if not better than, the WrestleMania match itself, I thought. I thought it was incredible. Did you feel the energy from the crowd mid-match and know that there was something special going on there?
Yeah. Yeah, that was again, you're just kind of on the roller coaster of Mania, like up again early the next day, like, oh, I'm now on Raw after Mania, gotta make this like amazing. So yeah, it was a you could definitely feel the WrestleMania energy, kind of just the excitement of Vegas and everything. And my family were in the crowd for that one as well. Um, so yeah, it was a very special time.
That's awesome. And then the match obviously is approaching because Becky turned on you after that. You could call this, I think, one of the biggest matches in Irish wrestling history. When we look at the stakes involved, the Women's Intercontinental Championship on the line. I would like to also know how much Irish wrestling has evolved from the time you got into it to now. I know you recently returned to OTT. I know that's got a very special vibe, but was it always like that for Irish wrestling?
Um, when I started, we didn't even have a ring. I learned to bump on mats on the floor. Um, it was a very rundown little gym in Bray, County Wicklow, Ireland, that I just heard was, Finn Balor's school. Um, no, we always had like a history of like a bunch of our Irish guys went over to Japan and brought a lot back. But there just weren't that many shows at all. Like you were kind of lucky to be working once a month or whatever. There would be like one to two promotions, but then with the OTT started up, and that started to bring a lot of eyes and a lot like work for Irish wrestlers and Fight Factory. We started running a lot of shows as well. Like I'm from Balor School, which is uh, it's now located in Dublin. So then we had two schools, and then there was a promotion in Cork and Belfast, and that's still kind of where we're at. But we've never been known for opportunities in Ireland. Like it's not really the place you go to make yourself, but it's we definitely have always been the ones that put out the best wrestlers. Like you look at the how small the country is and how many of the Irish wrestlers are in WWE. We're very good at training pros, and I think it's just we have this certain type of grit. Like we put in the work on the mats. You don't there's always like phrases like you don't wrestle to get fit, you get fit to wrestle. So when I was coming up, we had to do like these like really tough workouts that would come back from Japan, and this was the way. And I remember when Balor had a chance, he did come back, and it was the first time I met him, and he was even talking then about putting the work in, and this would have been years and years ago. And he said when he started, WWE used to be this like fairy tale dream, like this kind of unicorn in the sky. How do you get there? Like, what is that place? He was talking. You used to have to send tapes off and just. But now it's like there's so many different routes now to get there. And he was like, if anyone here wants it, like you can have it. You just need to work really hard. So I feel like that kind of hard work mentality is what we're really known for, and the grit and the determination and the loving the struggle. We're very good at loving the struggle. So I think that's what separates us from like the rest of the wrestling world.
Do you think that upbringing gave you maybe like a step up on the competition when you got to NXT? Did you feel more prepared?
Yeah, definitely felt more prepared. Because I know I'm very confident in my ability once that bell rings.
Yeah.
Um, so there's no kind of nerves or external noise that can shake me.
But you signed to NXT or WWE in general in 2020, right? So that was had to be strange going into the pandemic right as you're signing. It was a weird time for everyone. Was that kind of a stunt in the career where you were like, what's going on? What does the future of wrestling even hold?
Yeah, it was I think it was 2019 when I signed. I remember I had my contract and I saved it till the takeover that I was at. to actually write it. I just wanted to say I've signed a takeover. But then I remember having three matches because we were doing six weekly tapings. Like we would travel once a month to London, train for a week, and then go to wherever the show was around the UK. So I debuted in York, then I wrestled in Coventry, and there was one more place. I got three tapings, and then I got sent to USA with Pretty Deadly for a little excursion. Um, and then Takeover Dublin got announced, and then I came home. I was supposed to go back to the States, but the world shut down. So it felt like already this roller coaster was starting to start, and then boom, like COVID. So
Yeah.
yeah, and then we got to this place where we finally got, I did a lot of work in COVID. I got to wrestle Mako Satomura in front of nobody. But then when the world started to come back, that was when I tore my ACL. So it was a bit of a
Yeah.
rough time. But look,
Look
there
at
you
you
go.
now.
Yeah, nothing can really hold you back if you want it bad enough.
That Irish fighting spirit, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And then coming up through NXT as a lifelong Shawn Michaels fan, I also got to ask about Shawn Michaels as a mentor in NXT and some of the great advice that he's given you. Is there anything that comes to mind right away as something you take into your matches?
Um, I know Sean has always been a big supporter of me. He was the first one that kind of saw something in me in WWE. I feel like um, we didn't talk all that much, but like the thing that annoys me the most is when I got drafted, he came out to congratulate me. He hugged me and he said something, and I couldn't hear a word. And I looked at him and I was like, "Yeah, thank you so much," because I got the general gist and I was able
Yeah.
to respond like, "Wow, thank you." But then he went away and I was like, "I need to ask him what he said." I
Maybe this
just
a
couldn't hear him.
clip could get back to him one day, and maybe he'll be like, "Here's what I was trying to say to you." But yeah, what a moment for you. I assume everything was just in that moment sensory
No,
overload.
there
You
was
probably couldn't hear
yeah,
anything from your biggest idol, of course. Yeah,
yeah, it was a sensory overload. There was so much going on and I did not hear a word.
that is funny.
And then I had like interviews afterwards and I was like, he wished me luck. But now I can
Who
just
do
honestly say I don't know.
who do you feel you have the most chemistry with in the WWE? Good or bad, I guess.
um in the WWE is well, like especially since I've come to Raw, I feel like I really had this natural connection with Bailey, um, outside of the ring, and then it kind of just manifested inside the ring. Like we really, really clicked. So uh, having my Mania moment come as at an expense to her, that was genuinely very upsetting.
Mhm.
Um, Bailey, since I've come to Raw, has been like a massive help, and she kind of actually is everything that I thought Becky would be. So it's a very big shame to see her out at the moment. Um, but apart from that, if you go back to NXT, Roxanne, I
Of
loved
course.
getting in the ring with her. I think we're very similar mentalities and style, so I always enjoy getting in the ring with her. Um, is there anyone else? Io, I love mixing it up with Io. Like she's really intense, and I feel like we just kind of have a very natural in-ring chemistry together. So yeah, that's how I feel really.
Is there anyone within the company that you're really itching to work with that you haven't yet?
Um, Charlotte would probably be the third kind of horsewoman that she would be a massive dream to get in there with. Who have I not worked with? Also, oh, Dakota Kai is another one that I really feel like we just kind of happens great in the with that thing in the ring where it just like you can't really explain it, it just works. Um, I have never wrestled Natalia. So that would be cool. She's a person that, I've been watching for a very long time as well. So to just like have her music hit, would be pretty
Yeah.
cool. Um,
That would be awesome. Would you want to wrestle Natalia or Natty though? Because Natty has been mixing it up on the indies and she's gotten very violent. She's been telling everyone, two different people now.
I know, yeah, she hasn't been at Raw in a while, but she's showing this entire new side of her. Um, and I love that. I love that hunger and that passion. And I'd definitely love to mix it up with Natty.
That would be awesome. I think we'd love to see it. I ask this to a lot of wrestlers that I interview. Who do you think the funniest person in the WWE locker room is? Who makes you laugh the most?
Shayna Baszler is actually very funny.
Shayna?
Yeah, yeah. Shayna and Naya as well. They're just very like unapologetically themselves, and I find that very funny,
Yeah.
even when they're mean.
And then finally, what can fans expect out of you versus Becky Lynch at Backlash?
Um, I do have a chip on my shoulder with this one. Um, I have 8 days, and I'm going to be prepping in every way possible to go out and prove that, Becky's. I'm not even going to list her achievements. She's done everything. We all know that. Um, and she's talked her way into a lot of opportunities. But I'm ready to come out and say, when that bell rings, you're nothing to me. Like, yes, she's the best, but I'm just getting started. And I feel like Monday was my chance. I was not letting her get the last word. I don't care what she thinks. I don't care how she thinks things should go. I'm not going to let myself be stepped on. I'm ready to have a coming out party, um, and really, really take it to her, and prove that, like, go watch our NXT match. Um, she can't hold a candle to me when it comes to the bell ringing. And that's what I'm out there to prove, on a Backlash.
I'm ready to watch it unfold. I can't wait. May 10th, of course, watch it on Peacock, 7 p.m. Eastern. Lyra, thank you very much for the time. Very excited for the match.
Thank you. Thanks for speaking with me.